Let's take a moment and look at the center panel of the Merode Altarpiece by Robert Campin. So let's begin with the story that's unfolding in front of us. This is the Annunciation, and the root word here is the announcement. In the Christian faith, the Annunciation is the moment when the angel Gabriel appears to the young Mary to tell her she will conceive and bear the Son of God. So as we look at this picture, we can see the angel, here's Mary, and this is the very moment that she's told of her destiny. What's incredible is there's this young girl in front of us, and when the Annunciation happened, Mary and Joseph were not yet married. They were betrothed, which meant that they had a very strong legal commitment. But Mary is young, unmarried, and a virgin, and she's told that she's going to give birth to the Son of God. Take a look at the room. Campin has us looking in at a middle-class Flemish room. And perhaps the reason is to make this story feel more immediate, more relatable. This is a room the viewers would have known. Mary looks like a Flemish young woman. Something else that's so exciting about this piece and so fun when you realize it is that Robert Campin is doing several things to let us know that we're seeing a moment. We're seeing this moment when a prophecy is not just fulfilled, but just almost fulfilled. Gabriel has appeared in front of Mary in a gust of wind. Look at the table. There's a candle. It's just blown out. The pages of the Bible on the table are ruffling with the angel's appearance. And Mary, in this moment, hasn't even realized that he's appeared. It's just at the very beginning of the prophecy. Take a closer look at Mary. She's a blonde, Flemish beauty, and we can see her spiritual faith. Campin has given us clues to it. She is reading a prayer book, a book of hours. And just so you know, a book of hours would be this book. It has different prayers for different times of the day. So morning prayers, afternoon prayers, evening prayers. To show her humility, it looks as though she's just sitting on the floor. Even more importantly, she doesn't touch the prayer book. Rather, she's protecting it with a cloth between her hands and the book's cover. It's kind of interesting that Mary's not wearing her typical heavenly blue. Perhaps this is because she's not yet the Queen of Heaven. Again, this is like the seconds before the story begins. So rather than being a Queen of Heaven, she's still of the earth. And perhaps that red really represents her humanness, her humanity. Now, let's continue looking at that Flemish room. Um, we can see this is what would be considered a washing station. And cleanliness was very valued as a moral value among the Flemish. The vessel also seems to echo the story of Mary, because Mary is a vessel. She's a vessel for God. She will carry the baby Jesus. Even the shape of the vessel, its sort of roundness mimics the shape of a pregnant form. Look a little bit to the right, and you'll notice that there's a towel on a drying rack. Count the number of blue stripes. There's 12 of them. This might be a symbol of the 12 tribes of Israel. Again, a reference back to the Old Testament. Or it might be alluding to the 12 apostles. And I don't think that's too far-fetched. look up, and at the end of the rack, there is a carving in red. And what is that face? Is that the face of God? We're going to take a moment and now look at the table right there in the middle of the room. And as I've mentioned, the candle has just blown out. The book on the table is the Old Testament. Its pages are blowing in the wind, they're ruffled, as the very prophecies contained in those pages are about to be fulfilled. Another reference to the Old Testament is the table itself. Look closely at the design. It is not round. Rather, if you were to count, it has 16 sides. And the number 16 is used to refer to the 16 prophets of the Old Testament. Look at that vase. In it are lilies, and lilies are a classic symbol of Mary. They symbolize her purity. And there are 3 lily blooms. And 3, of course, is a very important number in the Christian faith. It denotes what's considered the Holy Trinity: God the Father, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. So again, we're at the beginning of a story. So there's a full bloom for God, a full bloom for the Holy Spirit, and yet that closed bloom, that's Jesus. That represents his story. It's only in the beginning moments. Like a flower's bud, it's about to emerge. And then my favorite detail, the one I have left for last, is here is the baby Jesus. And he's descending from heaven. And in what is an obvious prefiguration of the crucifixion, he is coming to earth carrying his cross. He is born with his destiny. Jesus, in this image, carries his cross just as he will when the Passion of Christ, when the crucifixion occurs and he's forced to carry his cross to his death. Also, another powerful symbol is an analogy that was really popular at the time to explain the virgin conception. It's called the analogy of light passing through glass. And the concept was, just as light passes through glass without harming it, so did Jesus pass through the womb of Mary without harming her virginity. And so it's just an incredible piece full of symbolism. We see Mary, the answer to Eve, the woman who allows us to regain entry into the Garden of Eden, who will fulfill this prophecy of Jesus being born, where Jesus can now redeem the human race. He is the mousetrap that Joseph carves. So I hope as you look at this, you can see how this would truly be an inspiring piece as a faithful person kneels before it and is inspired to prayer.